Pasuk tells us in this week's parsha that when the Kohanim would officiate, that they would have to wear vestments, and the Kohen Gadol, the high priest, he would have 8 vestments. What exactly is the function of these Shmona Begodim, these 8 vestments? Vasisa v'gdei kodesh l'Aaron ochicha. You should make holy garments for Aaron, your brother, l'chavod u'l'seferis, for honor and for glory. The Gemara in Avodah Zarah tells us that Reb Kiva was asked, Moshe Rabbeinu officiated for 7 days before the Mishkan took on a permanent status. Only on the 8th day, Aaron and his children were installed as Kohanim, as the priests. So the Gemara asks, what did Moshe wear when he officiated? So Reb Kiva initially didn't know. He went to ask in the Beis Midrash, and they had told him that he officiated b'cholok lovon, with a white tunic. That's what he officiated with. So the obvious question is, if Aaron and his children needed vestments to be qualified to officiate, as the Gemara tells us in Zvachim, ein bigdeim aleim and kunos aleim, that if the Kohen is not officiated with his vestment, he's not considered a Kohen regarding the avoda, the service. So why was Moshe qualified to officiate with a cholok lovon, with a white tunic? So the Orach Chaim HaKodesh explains that Moshe, when he officiated, was to achieve atonement for Aaron as a result of the Chet HaEgel. That was the value of that. Once he officiated for 7 days, now Aaron was qualified to be installed. The Shmona Begodim, the 8 vestments, as the Gemara tells us, each vestment is to atone for another aspect of transgression in Klal Yisrael, whether it's corrupt justice, whether it's adultery, incest, thievery, whatever it may be. Each vestment atones for another aspect of sin among Klal Yisrael. So therefore the Kohen Gadol, the high priest, had to wear these 8 vestments. But Moshe, the value of his officiating was purely to qualify Aaron to be the Kohen Gadol and his children to be Kohanim. Therefore, it wasn't needed for him to have special vestments. That's the Orach Chaim HaKodesh. I once mentioned in the past, the Shalom says something phenomenal. He explains, we find before the Chet of Adam Rishon, before the sin of the tree of knowledge, the Torah tells us, Adam and Chava, Adam and Eve, they were naked in the Garden of Eden, and they have no shame, because they were pure, they were totally not tainted or tinged with any level of sin. Once they ingested the fruit of good and evil, then they had a sense of shame, and they had to cover their nakedness. So he explains that before the sin of Adam, what was the vestment to serve God? The neshama is the person, the soul is the person, the body is the vestment. But as a result of eating of the Eitz HaDaas, the body became invalidated. It became putrefied. As a result of what? Of the evil which was contained within the Eitz HaDaas, the fruit of the tree of knowledge. Moshe Rabbeinu was at a level that he was the equivalent of before the sin. His body was not tainted. So what was his vestment? His vestment itself was what? Was his body. The essence of the person is his neshama, and the vestment is the body. The Ramchal writes that there are only 2 human beings in the history of the world where the neshama was contained within the body. Adam Arishon before the Chet, Adam before he ate of the tree of knowledge, his neshama was within his body. After the Chet, because his body became putrefied, it ascended above the body like every other human being. The neshama hovers over the head. But Moshe Rabbeinu, because of his level of purity, his neshama was within his body. So meaning that his body qualified to be the vestment to officiate before Hashem. So therefore the Gemara says, with what vestment did Moshe officiate? Cholok lovon. It wasn't necessary. He just needed to cover his nakedness. But in terms of the vestment of his body, therefore the kovod tiferes, which is the ultimate, is the body itself, and therefore at time of Tchias HaMeisim, the body itself will be, as it's cited in Sforim, that the evil which was contained in the Eitz HaDaas, that's going to remain in the earth, and what's going to be resurrected is only the pure matter, which will be the essence, and that will be the vestment for the human being.